Hey everybody, what's going on? If you're like me, there's never enough hours in a day. I wanted to spend more time, devote more time to this YouTube channel for years and years and years, but being a business owner, there's just not enough hours in a day. Who understands this? Who gets it? So, buddy of mine who's about to get his IFBB Pro card inspired me over the weekend. He's got a massive Instagram following, but more importantly, he just started his own YouTube channel. And I said, if Pete has the time to do it, I've got the time to do it. So with me, it's just for fun. I just love videos. I love interacting. I love kicking around with people. We got a podcast started. Got some cool guests lined up for it. Um, a little backstory with me. I've had this channel for years, and my wife and I have another channel which takes up the bulk of our time. It's we live on the water, so we spend a lot of our lives in boats and on around the beaches and collecting seashells and spending time with our cat and so forth. But this is just a long time love of mine. So let's put out some content. So my story goes back about 41 years in training. I started training in 85, did my first show at 85 as a teen, got blasted off the stage by a couple guys who claimed they were 19. They probably lied about their age. They looked like 26-year-old grown men, jacked up on gear and just dusted us off the stage. So, but I had the bug, competed for years as a teenager, had aspirations of becoming an IFBB pro in my early 20s, and a horrible back injury doing bent over rows completely derailed those IFBB plans, at least at that time. It's still a goal that I'm chasing, and I'll talk more about that maybe in another video. So, the lesson to be learned from that is, though, especially when you are not warmed up, it's 5 a.m., you're training with a power lifter, you've been training for 6 months, don't put 275 on a bar doing bent over rows when you just rolled out of bed 10 minutes ago and not even awake without any warm ups. The net result for me at least was two blown out disc and two bullets above that, beginning with the L45 in my lower back. So my IFBB aspirations were pretty much permanently put on hold. Also, during that time, extensively involved in martial arts training. I was blessed to be able to receive three fifth degree black belts in Korean style martial arts. And at some point in time, if I ever get the hours, I'm going to go back and hopefully finish getting my black belt in jiu-jitsu. But anyway, my first love was and has always been bodybuilding. That's the purpose of this. So I do some coaching. I live on Harker's Island in North Carolina. Got a great group of neighbors here who are an older crowd. They're not concerned about competing. They just want to be able to stay in shape, be able to get up off and down a chair and climb out of bed, and keep their knees and their hips and so forth strong and healthy. So the time that I have not devoted to our property management business, I am either training for the show or working with our great neighbors. So anyway, it's I just finally decided it's time to take all my love for this and put it out, create some great content. And again, like I said, collaborate with some people. I got some great people in mind already. Beginning, a lot of these people are going to be masters, competitors, friends that I have either competed with or know either via Instagram or YouTube. And my thing with bodybuilding is, especially at our level, I'm 56 years old. Um, the body changes. Recovery is not what it was in my 20s and 30s and 40s. And truthfully, I've been doing a lot of competing for the last 4 years. I can see a huge difference in my body, especially from a recovery standpoint, beginning at age about 52. So about the past 4 years now, the body's just not recovering the way that it used to. But guess what? Like I know you guys are, I am going to continue to fight and try to whip father time until I draw my last breath and the good Lord calls me home. That's just the bottom line. That's how I'm built, and that's what I do. From a training standpoint, and this is where I like to surround myself with like-minded people. I still train hard. Uh, my back has been a train wreck for years. Both shoulders are a mess. Had surgery on the left one in 2020. Probably could have done a better job in rehabbing that surgery. So probably need to have surgery on both shoulders again. But I am blessed in the fact that, knock on wood, both of my knees are in great shape. So obviously, I don't train anywhere near the poundages that I used to. And the thing I've noticed about the 50s is to be a shorter guy at about 5'9.5" on a good day. Um, I'm never the tallest guy on stage, but I usually come on stage somewhere between 192 to 205. So I'm generally one of the bigger guys on stage pound for pound. And in our divisions, that doesn't matter. As far as arm size, quad size, I'm generally one of the bigger guys on stage. It's who can come in the most shredded. And when you look at, like, especially these master divisions, and you compare it to like the open divisions, especially as you work your way up into, national shows, and of course IFBB, um, uh, it's total package. It's obviously conditioning plays a big part of it, but I'm telling you, at the masters ranks, 40s and 50s, conditioning is where it's at. I've been on stage with guys in the last couple of years that I was light years larger than. All of my measurements were bigger. Um, Posing probably about equal. These guys were just in better condition, especially through the core area. The core has always been my biggest challenge. I just don't have the natural genetics, especially through my waistline, my abs, my obliques, intercostals, and so forth, just to get shredded to the bone like someone like a Hadi Chupan can, or someone like that. Just don't have those genetics, and it is what it is. We have what we have to work with. But at the end of the day, I love training. I love competing. I just became a bodybuilder out of my love for training. Never really had any desire to do powerlifting. And although I played a lot of sports throughout school, wrestling, football up in middle school, by the time I hit 10th grade, it was all martial arts and bodybuilding, which was a great, worked in conjunction together until I blew my back out in 91. So today, that's where we are. My wife and I own a really busy, big business in Myrtle Beach. Takes up the majority of my time. And if I'm not doing that, I am downstairs training other people. Um, or like I said, we're out on the water, just enjoying that beach life. Um, One thing that I'm super stoked about is that after 41 years in commercial gyms and mom and pop's gyms, my beautiful wife has finally given me the blessings to build the perfect home gym in our garage. And it's about 90% completed. I've got reverse hyper machines. I've got power cages. We've got dumbbell racks. We've got everything you need. We've got seated calf raises, standing calf raises, leg extensions, as many machines as you could fit into a space like that. And, it's like I was telling my coach when we began this prep 2 weeks ago. By the way, I'm prepping right now for the old North Carolina State Championships. I've always loved that show. Mountain Dog won that show many years ago. So that show has always held some prestige. For years, it was held in Shelby, North Carolina. It's now been moved to Raleigh, North Carolina. It's one of Chris Hollingsworth's shows. Great show. So we're 19 weeks out from that. But the cool thing is, I don't have to get dressed. I don't have to get in the car, and I don't have to drive to a commercial gym anymore. And yeah, the other great thing about this is it has allowed me to go back to old school training. Not having all the equipment the commercial gyms do. So it's kind of a la back in maybe in the 70s and early 80s, back in Arnold's day and those guys' days, back when Haney and Gasperi and all of them were around and didn't have all the crazy equipment that we do now. I'm an old school guy. Old school is the best school. Technology and science are great, but at the end of the day, it's about good old fashioned hard work. It's about putting in that work. It's about that proper diet. And especially when you get up to be my age, it's about a lot of cardio. But when I was in my 20s and 30s, I never did cardio. I mean, I might a week or two out, I might hop on a treadmill for a few minutes a day. But but now, if I'm not, I don't care how point on my diet is, if I'm not hitting 45 minutes to an hour and a half of cardio, at least the last 6 or 8 weeks, I'm just not going to look the way I need to look on stage. So anyway, if you share the love of this without any of the politics, the negativity, the hate, and all the other crap that you see on so many of these fitness channels and podcasts and so forth. Not about any of that. We're never going to get any of that. And probably like those of you who are familiar with like a Nick Strength of Power, probably going to get into doing some physique updates. I keep up with a lot of that. I use Nick's channel actually to keep up with who's competing this weekend, who won the shows and so forth. But I want to take that with a little bit different spin, and spend some more time on some of those athletes, particular, learn a little bit more about that athlete, kind of their backgrounds and stories and so forth, in addition to just the physique updates and the competition results. And there's not really anybody doing a lot of that right now. It's just pretty much overlays of what they're posting on Instagram with the contest, with the guys that are going to be on stage, and then the updates. So I'm going to put a little spin on that going forward, and looking forward to having some pretty cool guests on with me. But yeah, if you're, especially if you're an older guy or gal and you like the old school approach, the old school hard, kick ass, blood, sweat, and tears, that's what it's all about. The only difference now, 30, 40 years ago, I just can't move the weight that I used to. I don't get under 400 or 500 pounds on the squat rack anymore. 350, 400 on the bench, don't do it anymore. Deadlifts, haven't been able to do them for years. So, we have to, as we grow older and face these injuries, we have to change things about our training and listen to our bodies more. And if I'd have done more of that in my teens and 20s, especially after the injury, and pounding myself with all the martial arts training and sparring and heavy bags, and kept squatting, and I think I worked up to just about a 600-pound squat by the mid 90s and all those things. And, I'm certainly not comparing myself at all to what Ronnie has and what he's endured. But when you live like that, you're going to pay for it. And I don't care. This is my opinion. I don't care if you're Mr. O or just doing this for the love of it. The longevity of not living in pain and being able to live in a healthy, relatively pain-free body far outweighs any of the rest of it. And to that degree, I wish I could go back and change some of the things that my hard-headed self did when I was younger, despite being told, hey, if you keep this up, you're going to have problems. Overall, extremely blessed. Got extremely blessed with the health and the mind the Lord's kept me in all these years. And here's the thing, and the most important thing, and this is specifically for those of you who compete today. I approach every show. November, if I make it to November may very well be my last show. But if it is, I'm going to approach it as the blessing that it is. I'm going to approach it as if it is the last show I will ever have the blessing of doing. I'm going to give it 1,000%. Although we all know you can't give more than 100, I'm still going to give it 1,000%. Enjoy the ride, not be concerned about what the other guys are bringing on stage, because at the end of the day, it's about what I can bring on stage, the work that I put in, and that's all I can control. And treat this next 19 weeks as a blessing, in the fact that from a health and longevity standpoint, there's a lot of reasons why I should not be able to continue doing this, but blessed and fortunate to do so. So it's just going to be fantastic. I can't wait. Kind of a new perspective on this. And I want to finish with one piece, especially for any of you out there maybe chasing a pro card if you're watching this. So one of the guys that I love is Dusty Henshaw. If you guys follow Dusty, he's on this Just Bodybuilding podcast with Scott, the producer, and Big Ron Partlow. And Dusty was talking last week, and those of you who know Dusty, he's very old school, and Dusty is he's going to let the truth roll out of his mouth. Dusty was talking about a pro card chase. Been there. I chased it hard from 2022 through 2024. I chased it hard. Leading up to that, had prepped for a couple of pro card shows in the Masters 50s, and had to pull out of the show just prior to it going down because of my health, because of my back, because of my shoulders. But Dusty was talking about people chasing the pro card and the fact that you lose the ability to enjoy the ride along the way. And the thing about that, and the thing that I really realized this time, is that I'm going to enjoy the ride. And this is not about a pro card. This is about being the best that I can be. And like Dusty said, being the last man standing on that day, on that stage in my division. He also talked about guys winning their classes and their divisions, and how to them that's like winning a Mr. Olympia. Made a lot of sense. That really resonated with me. So that's the way I'm approaching this. If I can be the last man standing in the 50s in November, I might as well have won the Olympia. So that really, listening to him talk about that, and I even shouted him out on Instagram for that, but listening to him talk about that really took pressure off me for this prep, and it's making it fun again. Where throughout those years where I was hitting the shows and prepping for either Masters Nationals or Masters USA or North American, for example, it was like a job, guys. It was like punching in. It was a lot worse than getting up and running a business every day. It became like work. It was not as enjoyable. Every meal sucked. Um, and I just didn't look forward to it. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been able to embrace, kind of that new mentality and philosophy, and it's making it fun again. And it's a throwback to the 80s and 90s when training was really fun without all the pressure I'd put on myself on the next thing, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, or what's next. There is no what's next. The next thing is get your butt up tomorrow, go work hard, and be the best version of yourself you can ever be. So I think if more people embrace that, um, I think the sport would be a lot more enjoyable. And you certainly wouldn't have, especially the youngsters that are, I'm not even going to get into that with, trying to be Instagram famous and, want to be pros right out of the gate. I've even had young people as, clients in the past. First conversation is, I want a pro card. Well, so do I. What's your plan to get one? Because it ain't easy. And yeah, they hand out hundreds of them now. They kind of hand them out like candy. Again, that's a conversation for another day. But it's all about how we approach this and how we set our minds up, how we trick our minds, and it will change everything for you day to day and how you approach your training and the joy that you get out of your training. So this is food for thought. Anyway, sort of an introductory video with this new commitment to this channel and putting out content and making some new friends and hoping to attract some more collaborators to get on and just talk shop and talk about the sport that we love. So until next time, I'll catch you guys then. And feel free to hit me up and let me know anything you'd like to talk about, training you'd like to talk more about, nutrition, cardio, any of it, aging in this, challenges you face with being an older competitor, and those types of things. And we'll try to spend more time talking about it. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a blessed day.